Thank you for returning. I believe the Chief Executive's got an update on the technology fix and its impact. Thank you.
Councillors, to the extent I understand this stuff, just humour me, but so they had what they think was a couple of problems with the Wi-Fi system going down and then triggering something in Resolve. Don't quote me on that. They've reset everything and they've put a patch in the meeting software, Resolve meeting software. So it is working again now, but and so that'll be our default start position, that you're back on your laptops in that system. As a precaution, in the event that we have a further problem, we don't want it to interrupt things again. So you are being emailed the agenda papers, minus all of the attachments, which are really there for reading, not for. But you know, go to that. If something goes wrong again, we'll just pause at that point. What I'm going to do is ask all of the staff here and anyone else who doesn't need to be to come off Wi-Fi, so that the priority is given in the event that the number of people attaching coming onto Wi-Fi in the space is causing some of the problem. Everyone else comes off, so the priorities with councillors for the time being, myself included. So there'll be a bit of a debrief to make sure that this doesn't happen again, or at least to the extent that we can try and assure that it won't happen again. Okay?
Okay, thank you for that. And hopefully it's working. We're on item 5.3, the terms of reference for the committees. We've taken a bit of time to work with the chairs to go through the terms of reference that affect their committees, so thank you for your input. These can be amended during future decisions, and we've done that period. We've had regular updates to these as required. I mean, if you recall, last time we had the floods and no one had anything in the terms of reference that accounted for that. It was yet another thing we weren't prepared for, but we did update them. So I'll take some questions about them, but I'll invite Andrew Pickering, oh there he is, Head of Governance Services, to address us on this. Then we'll take some questions, and I think Councillor Turner has announced that he's quite interested in having them. We have actually pointed out that we will adopt the terms of reference. The recommendation is subject to consideration of the meeting frequencies, which is another item that has apparently prompted some questions, and we'll deal with those in the next workshop, where we're discussing things like the rules of engagement and a few other bits and pieces. So Andrew, you can address us on these, and then we'll go to questions. Thank you.
Kia ora koutou, Your Worship and councillors, and welcome back to our returning councillors, and welcome aboard to the new councillors. My name's Andrew Pickering. I'm Head of Governance Services.
Can you get a bit closer to the microphone there? Don't be scared about it. Thank you.
Andrew Pickering, Head of Governance Services, and I've got Miranda Knox, Executive Officer. And this report recommends to the governing body that you adopt the terms of reference for committees. The terms of reference support the committee structure and the decisions you made in the earlier item regarding appointments to committees and joint committees and other positions. We've worked from the basis of last term, but incorporated changes, either those requested by chairs or those required to support the new committee structure. We've tried to keep the roles and responsibilities as clear as possible. Your feedback we received from committee chairs has been very, very helpful. Given that, the governing body, you as the governing body, are going to workshop and make decisions to confirm standing orders and the meeting frequencies. These terms of reference will be amended to give effect to those decisions as needed. So happy to answer any questions.
No, Mr.
Councillor
Mayor.
Turner.
Mr. Mayor, the wording has sorted out all my concerns. Just we're going to look at scheduling again. So that's
Yeah, I think we will. There was a lot of pressure, and what with the flu and everything, something's got slightly ahead of themselves, and so we will have a debate about that. There is some, on the one hand, I've heard lots of people saying we have too many bloody meetings, and then other people have just told me they have too many meetings, want more meetings. So we will come to a compromise on that.
Mr. Mayor, you told me too many committees, and then maybe we can come to a compromise, as you say. Thank you.
Oh, there's probably too many councillors, but I can't do much about that either. So one has to live with what one's got. Have we got any questions there, Andrew, after this? We've waited in expectation for 40 minutes of technological things. Surely there's a bloody question after all that, otherwise I'm going to move it anyhow. It's going to be seconded by the Deputy Mayor in this case. We don't always do that for the new people, but these are procedural type of things today. So you can retire. It sounds as though we'll get the hang of these as you go through them slowly but surely, and read them up before we have the next workshop on these things, if there's anything we want to amend. But it is something that we periodically amend because things pop up that we haven't thought about. And so we remain open-minded. You should be aware of that. All those in favour, please say aye. The contrary, carried. Thank you very much for that. That was a very long break there. We're going to move appointments to the co-government and co-management entities, of which we have a generous supply. Now, these sort of cover the notes are covered in the previous thing anyhow. Welcome Dom, who is involved in items like the Tupuna Monga Authority, which for those 5 of you who don't know about it will reveal its mysterious ways over the next wee while. So we are intending to appoint, as we've got in front of you, the Deputy Mayor and Councillor Bartley to Ngāti Whātua Ōrākei Reserves Boards as the most local people there. And we're delegating the Ōrākei board to make one appointment to that. Councillor Sayers has shown a particular interest as being the only person who lives up at Kaipara and attending that one. And the Rodney Local Board will make 2 appointments. And we have 3 governing body people at this stage to Tupuna Monga Authority. Hey? So I'll, Dom, would you like to address us, please?
Kia ora tātou. So this paper before you is about, you can see about the appointments to the 3 statutory boards, they're co-governance boards, and they're all 3 independent statutory boards from Auckland Council, and they're all established by treaty settlements. And so as you've heard there from the Mayor, the 3 boards are the Ngāti Whātua Ōrākei Reserves Board. There's 6 members there, and there's 3 each from Tangata Whenua, 3 from that's Ngāti Whātua Ōrākei, and then 3 from the Council. And the Tupuna Monga Authority is the second of these statutory boards. 12 members, 6 from Auckland Council and 6 from Ngā Mana Whenua o Tāmaki Makaurau. And then we have Te Poari o Kaipātiki ki Kaipara, and that also has 6 members, 3 appointed by Ngāti Whātua o Kaipara, and then 3 appointed by this council. In the past, there's been a practice where this governing body has appointed some members and then delegated to the local boards to appoint some members, and you'll see that's recommended here in the paper. Essentially, following that past practice, and the reason really is that it's worked well, And it does reflect the overall structure, of course, of Auckland Council with the wards and the local boards. And just probably one more comment to make is I've emphasised that they are independent statutory boards, and so once you're appointed, there are the three settlement legislation pieces of legislation have different rules about your term of appointment, but essentially it doesn't necessarily map with your appointment as your electoral term. So that's all I need to say on that, I think. Kia ora tātou.
Councillor Andy Baker, and seconded by Philippina. Thank you very much, Councillor Philippina. Right, is there any questions of Dom while he's here? Thank you, Councillor Hills.
Kia ora, Mayor, thank you. Just a quick question. A local board member has asked about appointment to Hauraki Golf. What is their, I know it's not a decision for us, but what is the process for local board members who might like to be appointed to some of these forums or committees?
Hauraki Golf's not in this lot.
Yes, certainly not my ambit, but I can follow that up for you, Councillor.
Anything else? In that case, you can retreat. Further discussion. All those in favour of the motion, please say aye. To the contrary, carried. Welcome to those things. We're going to 5.5, the recruitment process for the District Licensing Committee, and I think that Councillors Newman, myself and anyone else in the liquor industry who's not able to.
Your Worship, I'm struggling to hear you. I wonder if you could speak into your microphone.
I beg your pardon?
I'm struggling to hear you, and I was rather hoping you could speak into your microphone.
Like you, thank you, I will do. I apologise for that. I just got so excited by what we're doing. No, I wasn't. We're doing the District Licensing Committee. I think Councillors Winiata, Newman and myself have, and Councillor Henderson all have a vague interest in this, so we won't be voting on it. Nevertheless, Josephine's going to move this.
I can move it, yes, but can I just ask for a change, please, because
Yes.
Councillor Gillen is keen to do it and Councillor Baker is keen to be the backup, or Councillor Philippina, which either, but
Yeah, well, I've actually got on my notes here, says Bartley, Gillen or Baker or Philippina, so I'm not quite sure where we've got to there.
so we've got Gillen 1 and then Philippina 2.
Baker, are you happy with that?
Yeah, more than that.
So we're rightio. So can you get that right? So it's now actually Gillen and Philippina. Can you change that, please, Sandra, without an O? Okay. Julie, would you like to speak to us on this?
Thank you, Your Worship. Good afternoon, and councillors. I will take my report as read. I actually don't have anything to add. I'm very happy with those councillors, so unless you have any questions.
Moved Bartley, seconded by the Deputy Mayor. I don't think it requires any great debate now that we've got that sorted. All those in favour, please say aye. To contrary. Thank you, you two, for picking up that one and running with it. Governing body meetings, well, that's run into its first truck coming the other way. So I think what we're doing to there is we're just...
We're not going to need the 18th.
Beg your pardon?
We're not going to need the 18th of November, so we can take that one out. And we'll just have an ordinary on the 25th of November, and then the schedule is set out for the rest of the...
Okay. So we have a schedule that's out for up until the end of the year, but we're going to, on the 18th of November, there's a whole lot of tidying up meetings. Sorry, 25th of November. We're tidying up quite a lot of processes, including a debate. So those of you who got strong views on how many meetings we should have, let us know what they are. And we're trying to come up with a compromise which gives us enough meetings without being too many so that we can do the work that we have. I know we've had some very long meetings, but some of the very long meetings had nothing to do with how often they were. It was just that people wanted to have a very long meeting filibustering over various items with wheels under them, as I recall. So, moved and seconded. I'll move this, and the Deputy Prime Minister will second it. Yes. Well. So all those in favour of having a meeting on the 25th to discuss a whole lot of things, please let me, and contact my office if you've got very strong views on these things, and I imagine you'll be at the head of the queue there, Councillor Turner. 5. Eh? All those in favour, please say aye. Contrary, thank you. Carried. Well, we're roaring through here. Meeting schedule from over the Christmas break. That's in case somebody dies or falls ill. And try not to be that person.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to suggest, and I have said this through, and I know it may not be strictly necessary, but in line with what I mentioned in my speech earlier, I'd like a note in here that all urgent decisions made on behalf of the governing body or its committees under the delegation in A, including written advice which supports such decisions, be included on the agenda of the next ordinary meeting of the governing body. And I know that's probably general practice. However, I think it's important that we actually note that that will be happening to ensure that it does happen. And it's just
Yeah, you're quite happy with that?
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, I think it will. I mean, you'll find that even if it says that, everyone will receive a note of something that's going wrong over those particular breaks. And I know one of the joys of being the mayor is they give you a satellite phone that you have to put on the boat and cart round and round and round. And it wasn't until after I got back that I discovered that it had no batteries in it, and no one ever told me how it worked. So that was great. All right. Moved and seconded. Thank you. Seconded by Baker. All those in favour, please say aye. Bingo. Righto. Try not to die over Christmas. Now what?
Process
Summary of information memorandum.
information only. Moving section.
Right. There's a massive amount that came in here, and due to my illness, I read the lot, and it's quite frightening, some of this. This is what's come in, and sometimes you'll find that they just give us a list of stuff, and in amongst it, there's some frightening stuff there. So whilst we're going to receive it, I actually want to mention a bit about these. You'll note that we had received submissions on fisheries, central water wharves, natural risks, asset sales updates, Auckland plan monitoring, city rail and Greenland report, proposed fortnightly rubbish collection trial consultation, downtown bus improvements, CCO annual reports, regulatory hearings, Northwestern Busway update, Albert Street bus changes, and revocation of reserve in Pakuranga. Now that's just to inform you what's happened, but in some of those things there, they're quite frightening. So I'm going to talk about some of those. For instance, we have had on the central wharves, that's been fiddled with for years. And I'll read through this here. And it's largely Iki Panuku who no longer with us. And it doesn't tackle things like we have the cloud down on one of those wharves, which for those of you who are not aware of, it was built temporarily 15 years ago for 2 years. And it's still there. And I have yet to have a clear suggestion from any of our staff as to what we might do with it. So if any of you over the break are thinking that you've got some good idea about that, that'd be good to hear. Then, and a lot of the suggestions that they've done for the wharves, there's not many of them that are economically viable. In fact, there's an awful lot of things there which are just going to add to rates without giving us anything back. So please think about those over the break. And then we had the asset sales update, which was a very depressing document. We have made very little asset sales. And in fact, we have failed to get anywhere near them on those figures. You'll see the reds and greens there. Quite depressing. And we will need those because the Chief Executive and the Chief Financial Officer will remind us already that we are struggling to make the $50 million savings that we want and require some of those. But the most alarming one, without a doubt, was one about the downtown bus improvements and transformation of the downtown precinct. And I've kept this carefully out in plastic so it doesn't pollute the rest of the notes in here. It says in here, because the previous council under Mayor Goff sold the downtown car park, and there's a question of removal of the Hobson Street flyover, and which I see is in there. We have yet to see a rational plan for how the vehicles negotiate the area without the flyover. And so I want to see that. And so I'm asking at the next meeting that we have a very clear look at what's good and bad about the central city master plan, and we will have some time to have a look in reviewing all those things. And there are notes in here, some things which I find quite alarming, is that Council and Auckland Transport, who are on the way out, Auckland Transport, are bringing together a multidisciplinary team to do what exactly, and discuss that. And seeing as I have, earlier in last year, we sent a letter of expectation to Auckland Transport, amongst other things, was to improve east-west traffic flow through the city, which is basically Custom Street, Victoria Street and Wellesley Street, and AT have gone out of their way to make it impossible to get east-west through the city. It's the exact opposite. And so, having failed completely at Victoria and Wellesley Street, I don't want to do much. I then read on here that the program will transform Custom Street and Fanshawe Street into a transit corridor for prioritising public and active transport, which again is not in keeping with what we'd said. They are procuring a consultant team, which is really worrying because we've had meetings about what went on in Victoria Street, and a consultant team did dumb things without any idea that we wanted to improve east-west. And then it says here, under 31, the multidisciplinary design consortia is being appointed to progress design and consenting with work to commence before the end of 2025. Now, we haven't even had a discussion about this. And so I really, I'm going to ask that the CEO make sure that this is stopped dead in its tracks, because this is not what we had in mind. And so for those of you who've got through to the memorandum about that, read it with great alarm. That's not what we had in mind. That's the very reason why we're taking over all those things in AT that don't involve a bus or public transport. So, in fact, I've spent some time with some of the senior people at AT recently, and it's been very depressing. On Waitemata Street, Wellesley Street, they are seriously intending that the traffic coming from the west would go down Wellesley Street and turn left into Elliott Street, which is a walking street. Whereas if it goes straight ahead, it goes up a hill and it's onto a motorway, which is what most people want to do. And so we've just got to stop dead. And I'm asking those questions about that. I was told that the buses are so important outside the coming railway station in Wellesley Street, that there'll be so many buses you can't be able to get a car through there. And I'm thinking, well, hang on, these are the same people who didn't think it was important to have a bus stop outside the Mount Eden railway station. So we have issues to be dealt with here. And so while we're getting on with dealing with those, I'm going to ensure that the Chief Executive checks that they are not actually doing what it says in this memorandum, which in fact went to the Waitemata Local Board. And it's another thing is that the legislation is changing so that CBD comes here, not to the Waitemata Board, because it's not, Queen Street and Wellesley Street and Victoria Street and Custom Street are not local roads. They're almost nationally significant roads, and they're certainly regionally significant roads. So I believe that this is the place where we will discuss whether those things work or not, rather than the Waitemata Board, which hasn't got the world's best success rate of making good decisions anyhow. So I just wanted you to know that's what happens if you lie in bed sick for a week and you read everything. It's quite surprising, and sometimes it doesn't make you feel better. And then lastly, I read through with great care the report from Iki Panuku. Iki Panuku, of course, is no longer, and we are going to be addressed at the next Prop Full meeting by the Chief Executive on the status of where we've got to with our CCO reforms. And that hasn't been a perfect process, but I want to know so that you all understand where we've got to and where we're going to. But if you look under there, you'll find on page 399 of 641, Iki Panuku, who are we and what we do. And in fact, it's a very good statement of what they should have done, but didn't, and which is why they are no more. And so, over the break, don't just ignore these. And if you get further into the non-performance financial, because for those of you who suggested, and one or two candidates from Merrill suggested that we needed more openness and whatnot, everything you could need to know is written up here somewhere. It's just a matter of finding it and reading it. Statement of service performance. And this is quite honest. It shows what we've achieved and what we haven't achieved. And we have achieved a number of excellent things. There's no question about that. But the achievement of board-approved transformation and unlock sales for the financial year, we had a target of 16 and we achieved 1.32, which is definitely a D minus, and asset recycling target of 60 and we achieved 8.8. Now, admittedly, the market has been difficult, but the market was difficult when we just said we'd get 16 and 60. So these are areas. On the other hand, I'll read through further, and the percentage of marina customers who are satisfied with the marina is very high at 94%. And I was one of those people, and despite the fact it's gougingly expensive, we all said it was pretty good. So people will pay for something that's good. There's no question about that. So I'm sorry to make a bit of a time making a speech, but that's the net result of me getting flu, so don't give me flu again and I won't read all this stuff so closely. But there you are. Anyone would like to comment on those things? Because that's what's in front of us. That's what you had before you, but I do want you to think about those things. You get into the habit of reading these reports, you never know what you're going to find. I'll take any further questions or comments. I've numbed you up. Very good indeed. Well, in that case, Councillor Williamson, please.
Mr Mayor, you're always at an enormous advantage to us because you have a hard copy of big documents, and they're a lot easier to read if you're lying back on a couch or sitting on the bed feeling crook and reading it. But so many of the documents that are put out to us around this place, we're not allowed to print them off. We're not allowed to have a hard copy of. And somehow officials are, and you are, but we've got to sit with a computer screen, and it's bloody hard to read a massive document sitting on a computer screen. And I'm really keen to know, who is it that's made the decision that elected councillors sitting around this table can't have a hard copy of documents?
It wasn't me,
No, I know it wasn't you.
but it's just that these things seem to be presented because we, as the
No, you
chair,
can't.
we go through an iteration of going through this before it gets anywhere, so. Push button.
I have been through this over and over and been told, no, you can't have a copy, you can't have a hard copy of that. No, it's not. It's others as well.
If I may, councillors, the new system allows you to print. Sorry. The new system allows you to print. You've got a print function on your agenda, and you can print your documents.
Every document?
Every document.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, that's going to only be from here on in, because it hasn't been in the past.
That's exactly right.
Okay.
From here on. Yeah.
All right.
That functionality.
Good question,
is
good
there.
answer. And, but if you are going to print them, read them,
Oh, yeah.
okay? That in itself is punishment.
All the memos got emailed in PDF form too, so you can print those. But just remember, staff are required not to print stuff because of this council asking for no spending on discretionary items. So we can print if we want, but if we all print thousands of pages every single meeting, that's a huge cost on council, so.
Yeah, but if I'm sick in bed for 9 days, I want to have a big chunk of bloody reading material.
Well, we'll make it sure it's compulsory that you're sick for 9 days.
Well,
In
we've
order
already
to get
achieved
you
that.
reading.
You've already had what you wish for.
In order to... All right. Well, I think we will put the motion that we receive these, but thank you for endowing me with it, allowing me to comment on all this lot. And I urge you to have a quiet look at some of that stuff there. No, you don't have to look at all of it, but there's bits and pieces we pick through. You'll find that some bits are worth printing and some bits are worth ignoring, but it's all there. And I notice we have the proposed fortnightly rubbish collection trial in there, which I know is quite controversial amongst some of you, and we will be having a discussion about that in the next coming meetings. And that is another important thing as well. So all those in favour of receiving... Oh, Councillor Fletcher?
Coming to the flyover matter, because you may recall I came to see you about that 3 months ago, where will the accountability for that now sit under the governance delegations that you have created?
Flyover at the bottom of Hobson Street.
Yes, the one I came to see you about.
Yes. Well, we just happen to have a few flyover issues going on at the moment. And there's a kerfuffle out in Howick over a flyover as well.
No, just in terms of accountability, I'm just wanting to understand where that is going to sit going forward.
That'll go to the Transport Committee, and because the important thing is that we understand what the transport implications of it, rather than just selling it to make precinct properties building nicer. And we never got a clear answer to that, because I remember when I first looked into it, you ended up going in a Yui somewhere or other, which is not good. So we haven't, that's unresolved. It's on the list of things for Andy Baker's committee to unravel. And there's a fair bit of pressure on that at the moment, because they're actually due to pay for this shortly. And that whole decision that was made under the GOF regime wasn't entirely 100% perfect. So I think you'll just have to wait and find out. Andy, you're under instructions to push that along and find out what is happening with the traffic in the absence of that flyover. that right? Thank you for raising that, councillor. All right. All those in favour of receiving that block of information, please say aye. Contrary? Okay, carried. Where are we getting to next? Item 7.1, I believe. 5.10. Some of the confidential decisions. Ah, yes, of course. Confidential, the secret things that happened out in the bush.
It's been released. This is just a noting.
Right, this is just a noting paper. It's moved by the Deputy Mayor and seconded by Bo Burns. I'm sure you're interested and excited about this, Bo Burns, but there you are. You've hit the ranks. We note that we had received a whole lot of stuff about this there that resulted in a dawn parade out there, and it was attended by Councillor Turner and others. I think it's okay. Okay. No further discussion. All those in favour, please say aye. Contrary, carried. Item 7.1. Oops, we've got to go. You'll get used to this. We're going to move to go into exclusion of the public. We do this for reasons which are quite beyond me. Yeah, Newman and Gillen, all those in favour? No?
I'd like to speak to it, please.
You what?
I'd like to speak to this procedural motion, please.
Well, okay, well, it's been moved and seconded.
Yep.
So you can speak to it, please.
Thank you. I won't be supporting this because only one of the attachments to the item is actually confidential and names the person in question. The rest of the material should be out in public. So I don't support the way that this has been handled.
Well, good on you. I must admit I'm building a consensus of people who don't like going into secrecy. Me neither. But for some reason or other, staff have indicated this should be secret. Beats me because, in fact, what we are doing here, and I can't mention that person yet because it's secret, is that we are finding the chief judge to head the very tricky panel for one of the two biggest things really we've got next 3 years. Is one is making sure that when we get AT back we don't make a mess of it, and B is that we do the PC 120 and intensify the city from being a big suburb and don't make a mess of that. And the chairperson of the committee of planning advisors is a very powerful position, and we've had offered up to us. Finally, it has to be approved by myself and the Minister of Planning, Minister of something or other, yeah. And the first name that came up was, I can't tell you who it was.
We don't need to go
I'm
into
just
the
going to
names.
say that we have had rejections. So we are going through a process to get somebody who everyone thinks is nice and good and lovely. So anyhow, those in favour of going into secrecy, please say aye. The contrary?
No, I called for a division. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Aye?
I called for a division earlier, Mr. Mayor.
You want a division on this? Okay. This will be a good chance to find out whether our electronic system works. So this is will be known as the Gillen Initiative. Councillor Burns.
Sorry, Mayor Brown, is the confidentiality to protect the person coming forward for the role because it's so controversial? Because that would change my mind because if it's protect that person, then I'd be more than happy for it to be confidential.
My belief, which could well be wrong, is that it's protecting that person until the other party involved in this, being the government,
Point of order.
has joined it. Point of order?
Yeah, I mean, this is a debate that's going on, but I understand that the vote has been put and the division's been called. So I think that the vote should just be had now. some of us don't have resolved, so I'm assuming that our names will be called out so we can just register.
We're going to do the division now.
We're going to do the division now, and we'll explain that to you later, okay?
Councillors, we're going to have to go old school on this, so I will call your name, and if you just call out what your vote is, then we will record it for you. Sorry, I was in anticipation of having this all on resolve for the first time, but forces were
The Gillen initiative has failed. We're going to have to go back to old school.
Not yet.
Okay, Mayor Brown.
Yes,
Deputy Mayor Simpson. Councillor Baker.
For.
Councillor Bartley.
For.
Councillor Burns.
For.
Councillor Ferry.
For.
Councillor Filipina.
Aye.
Councillor Fletcher.
No.
Councillor Foley.
No.
Councillor Gillen. Councillor Henderson.
Yes.
Councillor Hills.
Of course, kia ora.
Councillor Lee.
with you.
Councillor Newman.
For.
Councillor Patterson-Hamlin.
For.
Councillor Sayers.
For.
Councillor Short.
For.
Councillor Turner.
Against.
Councillor Watson.
No.
Councillor Williamson. No. Councillor Williata.
For.
So that's carried 15 votes to 6.
Righto. Thank you, attending those members of the public who have soldiered on through such excitement. We'll give you 5 minutes for you to vacate the room, and you'll miss out on this incredibly exciting secret thing.